Hi everybody, it's Nick McDonald speaking. Thank you very much for joining us for today's US dollar index and currency market update. Happy Memorial Day to everybody who is celebrating Memorial Day today. Today is a very quiet day for the ICE markets and for US markets in general. ICE is open only very briefly today for trading, so please bear that in mind that there's very limited trading hours and also likely to be quite low liquidity during those hours, with most people off enjoying their holiday. So please bear that in mind for Monday, with trading resuming as normal on Tuesday. Looking here at the dollar index, and let's start with a weekly chart today. Last week we had the small red candle and I was looking for a breakdown through that. What actually happened is we've now done that, we did it at the end of the week, and at the start of the week we actually started by breaking up. We broke up above 76 and then we broke back down. So now we're really still sticking with that bearish view and still looking like continuing down from here. And in fact, it's really just reinforced the bearishness of it tried to break up. It tried to break above 76. Note how it rejected that completely and it's now come right back down and closed the week lower, and it's looking very bearish indeed. Just looking at the big figure here on the monthly chart, came up, tested that level, and is now starting to reject off that level. We've actually fallen 100 points off it to close down around 7,500. For the end of the week last week. Looking at the daily chart, you can see most of that happened in the last 2 days of the week. Daily chart, the candles are just starting to turn quite bearish here. It's not a confirmed downtrend on the daily yet, but certainly looking to continue in the direction that's set up here by the weekly and the monthly charts. Now what's most interesting here is that the dollar index didn't move down much at all last week. Let's go and compare that to its most highly correlated one of the other spot currency pairs, on dollar Swiss. And look at the move here. We had the small red candle, very similar to what we had on the dollar index, but then look at the move we had down, a big down week there with the dollar really selling off strong versus quite a strong Swiss franc last week. So that was an interesting move. That's more like what I was expecting to happen on the dollar index, and having it happen on dollar Swiss, especially I would have expected that to happen on the dollar index. So it didn't happen, so the dollar index is lagging behind a little bit there. Let's have a look at a few others that also moved. These aren't all with weightings in the dollar index, by the way, but the Kiwi dollar, very similar setup and showing US dollar weakness. Green candle in the buy zone, broke up through the high and had a really good move last week. Let's also look at cable, which is part of the dollar index. This one, where the small green candle actually broke down first, then broke up through the high and had a nice strong up week. But then a couple of them haven't moved. So there's some that really have moved, where we saw some really weak US dollar. What we've got here though on AUD USD is really nicely setting up now. Two small green candles, two bullish candles, and now we're just threatening to break up through the high. The most interesting one, of course, though, and one of the reasons here why the dollar index hasn't moved, regardless of a lot of the other currency pairs having moved. So, for example, cable and dollar Swiss haven't moved, but they've got quite small weightings, certainly as compared to euro dollar has when we're looking at the dollar index weightings. And euro dollar here hasn't moved yet. Notice that we've pulled right back in. We've got these two small green candles. We're in the buy zone on the moving averages, and now we're looking to break up above that. If euro dollar moves this week, dollar index is likely to move as well. And based on the fact that so many of the other currency pairs that displayed this exact pattern have gone on and moved exactly that way, euro dollar and the dollar index both looking like setting up to move that same direction this week, as is AUD USD, and we're looking at NZD USD, dollar Swiss, cable, all having moved in that direction, just further backing up the thinking that this week the dollar index is likely to be continuing down from here, breaking down below 7,500 and continuing in its downtrend, and probably at least coming down and testing these old lows, not necessarily this week, but over the next few weeks. Looking for this to continue to the downside. So it's looking really nice for me, looking like a good, high probable trade. Just I got some good feedback last week on a trade, on the video I did showing you a past trade, so I thought I'd just come and show you another one. This one's a live screenshot, and I just thought I'd talk through it. So I record my trades on video, I put them out on my video newsletter, but I also take screenshots of my trades so I can go back and look at exactly how they looked at the time. So this is a live screenshot, literally seconds after I placed this short trade on the dollar index last week. So here's the monthly chart, 7,600 level being tested. As you can see, I keep on talking about these levels, and I just want to reinforce here how I trade them. So 7,600 being tested. On the weekly chart, you can see that we'd broken up above that level, but now you can see the weekly chart rejecting, the candle turning very bearish, sellers really taking control. We've been up above it, we've now broken back down below it. Daily chart, candles are turning bearish. Let's come down to where I place the trade, so we keep on working down time frames. 8-hour chart, What I really like here is you can see the testing but on both the upside and the downside on 7600, but as we tried to break higher here, notice how the MACD and RSI are both diverging. So we've got divergence telling us even though price is making new highs, it's looking like coming down. So that bearish divergence was a good indication to me, as well as the rejection and then the break back down below 7600. Then we had the exact same thing on the 4-hour chart, price breaking up, indicators breaking down. This is the exact moment I went short. Well, literally seconds after, so I take my short trade, then I come and take a screenshot, so you can see the price there was 75.95. Let's just jump back to the live market and have a look at what has happened from those levels. So this is where I got short, back up just as it broke down through here at 7600, and had a stop above 7640, above the previous high. First target hit around about 75.60, second target hit around about 75.20, and now still in that trade and about 100 points up, about 2.5 to 1. So how do I really use the level to my advantage? Well, I could have waited for it to break down below 7500, and then I could have been short about now with probably a 160 point stop. As it happens though, I managed to get short based on a 4-hour chart instead of waiting for a weekly chart entry. All the same reasons with the same level, I just happened to get short here as it broke back down below 76. I got to have a tighter stop above this level, so a 40 point stop, and then I got to lock in my trade and my profit a lot quicker. I'm now in a trade still, and I'm in a free trade because I've locked in profit, which means I can't lose on the trade, and I've now positioned myself nicely short for the week ahead. What will I do now in terms of adding to that position? I will look to add to it, but I'll only add to a position if another trade sets up. So I'll be looking for any other short trade to set up. If no trade sets up, then I won't place a trade. But for now, there is a nice setup based on the weekly chart, and I'll be assessing that on Tuesday to decide if I'll add to my position based on the weekly chart setup. But in any case, I'm certainly looking for the dollar index to be continuing to the downside this week. Happy trading all, have a wonderful Memorial Day, and have a fantastic week's trading. I'll speak to you next week.